Wallace. He's normally there in Austin, but now he's got a great view. He's over there in Orlando checking out the digs as the Hook'em Horns face the Michigan Wolverines there.
You like that?
Yeah, that is awesome. That is an awesome background.
That's Tiffany Gold. No, it's not.
Roger, we were talking during the break, and I actually want to bring this conversation to the light here about just how much the bowl games have changed over the course of maybe the last 20 years or so with the adoption of the college football playoff. How different is it now that you're covering a bowl game as compared to a college football playoff game that you had in the past?
Yeah, pretty different. And, I think about, days gone by where you'd be at a bowl site for a week with the team and kind of tracking their every move. And then, slowly it's been pared down a little bit. But yeah, the last 2 years, Texas in the playoff, and it's been more like a road game. It'd be a couple of days. There'd be a media day, a coach's press conference. You play the game. Here, they've been here since Friday. We haven't, but they've been here since Friday. So that's kind of going back to the old school where they have a bunch of events. And, I think they're kind of tired of hanging out in this hotel a lot too. So they're ready to play the game. It's changed a lot. And the goal is to not have that bowl experience. The goal is to go to the playoff where you hope that this isn't the end of the road. Like Texas now knows, and Michigan, they know this is the end of the road. Season ends around 6:30 Eastern time on Wednesday, and then it's rinse and repeat and try to build into a roster. So a little different feel the last couple of years covering the playoff as opposed to the traditional bowl game, which I guess I'll buy into it. If you're going to go to one, Citrus Bowl, they do get the top pick in the SEC and the Big Ten, so probably one of the more prestigious non-playoff games. But that's little consolation. And I was going to be outside poolside for you guys, but it's like 50 degrees outside, so
Mother Nature didn't
we don't even
want to
have that.
Everything's falling apart, but it seems like every time we talk to you about this bowl game, it seems like there's just a new development every time. And now I have to wonder, who is Texas going to roll out at the running back position? Because the entire room's in the portal.
Yeah, this started mid-season with Jarrett Gibson going in the portal, and from there they've just dropped one after another. Trey Wisner was the big surprise last week because he went through practice, and then they got the break before they went home before the holiday, and then he announces, so clearly somebody got in his ear, or as Sark talked about today, some agent asked for an amount of money that wasn't realistic. And yeah, you start with Gibson. Ricky Stewart was a guy that probably saw the handwriting on the wall that he wasn't going to see a lot of playing time. Baxter, you're not surprised. Coincidentally, Baxter and Gibson, both from the state of Florida, would have been homecomings for both of them. But Wisner was the wild card here. He's a Texas guy. He's from DeSoto, south of Dallas. He climbed the depth chart. He's kind of the offensive version of Michael Taft, kind of bleeds burnt orange, does everything for the program, waited his turn. And so, for whatever reason, and there are a myriad of possibilities, he decided to go seek out a different opportunity, i.e., you would think more money, right?
Right.
That's the realistic thing.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's Christian Clark. He's a sophomore, but he's really a freshman. He missed all last year with the injury. And then from there, you've got James Simon, who's carried it, I think, 29 times. And then you've got Michael Terry, a true freshman who they've moved around a little bit. And Ryan Niblett, their punt returner who lines up in the backfield. But you kind of know what you're going to get with him. They're probably going to swing him out and try to get him the ball in space. And that hasn't really worked out because I think it's been so obvious what they want to do. He's been really dangerous as a returner, but hasn't done a lot on plays from scrimmage. So, yeah, that's a big issue against this Michigan defense. And the other thing, guys, Trey Wisner was great at blitz pickup. And
right.
So Arch Manning's fortunate that he's got his offensive line intact. But now you trust these young guys, and if I'm Michigan, you're blitzing these guys all the time. That's what Florida did. They really got to Arch there. And I think he's going to see a lot of heat. And then you get to that conversation about business decisions. If, in fact, Arch takes a few hits. And then, Sark said today, we're going to try to win this game. And whoever I have, I'm going to try to win. But he understands what the future is. So we'll see. lot of games within the game on Wednesday.
No question about it. And you have to think both, in the factor of those 60 minutes there at the Citrus Bowl, but then also for what the next 6 months, 8 months, and the next 12 months obviously look like they're with the football program. Flipping to the other side of the ball, on defense, this was a defense that was so heralded coming in. I think there was maybe 5 or 6 guys that were all SEC preseason guys, a couple of guys that were All-Americans, including a guy you mentioned earlier there in Michael Taft. What do you feel that is the key for this defense as they match up now against a Michigan team that obviously has some highly touted guys, namely and Bryce Underwood there in company? What are some of the keys for this defense as presently constructed?
I think the front four is okay. You got Colin Simmons, one of the best edge guys in the country. You've got all your interior guys that they rotated in and out. You're going to lose an Ethan Burke, so they're going to bring in a new edge there, probably Lance Jackson, a guy that had a lot of bright spots during the year. But on the back end, guys, you're going to have a linebacking core with Anthony Smith and others, including a starting middle linebacker, Bo Barnes, who hasn't played. And then you're going to have a secondary with a lot of young guys. Jelani McDonald will be back there. He's coming back. Well, he says he's coming back. He still have portal season, but he says he's coming back. So that's your key back there. But you don't have a Taft. You don't have a Malik Muhammad. You don't have a Jalen Gilbo. So you don't have any of your linebackers other than Anthony Smith, Anthony Hill, Leonga Lafau, and Trey Moore. And you don't have Ethan Burke. You don't have Anthony Hill. So it's pretty amazing that they're without 7 starters. We talk about this every year since Christian McCaffrey, sat out the Sun Bowl about opt-outs. We've never seen it this drastic, I don't think, for a team that's, was right on the doorstep of playing in the college football playoffs. So, Sark says he's looking forward to seeing some young guys. I'm sure he'd love to have some of those veterans back. You don't have your defensive coordinator, by the way. Will Muschamp was with the team. Now he's with his son, Vanderbilt, playing tomorrow over in Tampa. So his son, Witt, is a backup quarterback at Vanderbilt, so he's there. I don't know if he's going to make it back or just meet up in Austin. So, yeah, you got a lot of changes on that defensive side of the ball to try. Michigan's not an overpowering offense, but I'm sure Chip Lindsey's kind of licking his chops thinking, okay, I got a shot here with my freshman quarterback to do some damage on Wednesday.
No question about it. We got a chance to obviously hear from Coach Sark and interim head coach Biff Poggi on this matchup.
Hey man, I like to compete, and I've never gone into anything that where you don't try to go win. So whether that's with young people, old people, whatever that looks like, that's my responsibility. And so I've never, this isn't some sort of exhibition or something, man. We're trying to win the game. We're going to do whatever we can do in our power to try to go win the ball game. I think that's first and foremost.
It's the Citrus Bowl, and you're playing against the University of Texas, who was the preseason #1 ranked team in the country, who, in my opinion, should have gotten one of those bids. And so our kids are excited about competing against them. And, the only other SEC team we played this year, we got beat pretty good by Oklahoma, at Oklahoma. So our kids are looking forward to playing. And if you can't get excited about playing against Texas, then you might be in the wrong sport.
Roger, when you were talking about the opt-outs and obviously being very thin on the defensive side, what have you seen from the team as a whole in practice leading up to the bowl game?
Well, I was out there yesterday, and, first of all, it was their last practice. Today's just a light walkthrough, so I'm sure that put a little pep in their step because they've been going at it for a month now. But I think, and we see it with all the bowl games, we kind of talk about, are they exhibitions? What do they mean? And then they'll play hard, and I think, the storyline will kind of develop. But I'm sure these guys are fired up. They're going to get their chance against the University of Michigan in a prime bowl slot. I mean, it's so weird, right?
Right.
These guys that are, I keep saying a Bo Barnes, who we didn't say his name once all season, and all of a sudden he's going to be a middle linebacker at the University of Texas against Michigan in a New Year's Eve Day bowl on national TV. So I'm sure they're fired up. I'm sure Arch is fired up to get one more go and then get to the off season. So I think all that is true. it's just kind of weird. And I wanted to ask Sark, we ran out of time today, about, I imagine it's kind of fun for him as an offensive guy to have this challenge ahead of him for the last few weeks, and, kind of get in the lab a little bit. And on the flip side, you're not really going out there tomorrow with your 2025 team. How weird is that as well? It's not an excuse, just a fact.
Right.
That these aren't the guys that won 9 games, lost 3 games. And so it's just odd.
Yeah.
The whole thing is odd. And we haven't even addressed Michigan.
Yes.
I mean, Biff Poggi's up there today watching Sark answer questions about what Michigan's getting in Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah.
How awkward is that?
Yes, exactly.
And he may have a chance to stay on the staff. He kind of held it together, and if they win tomorrow, that's a 10-win season when things could have gone south. So it's just weird on that side, and they've had fewer opt-outs than Texas. So credit to the staff for keeping them together. And now I think Kyle Whittingham, I think a lot of players are going to be excited about that. They've got a proven guy. But he did say maybe 12 to 15 they'll be without. It's not as certain as Texas. They'll be without a couple of key defensive players, but for the most part, they're going to be more whole, I think, on both sides than Texas will be.
Absolutely. I find it absolutely intriguing, the fact that these two programs have only met 3 times ever, considering just how story rich this is. To football fans that obviously see these two names, see these two logos, and it's a kind of a blue blood game. And you mentioned with the players, just situationally, they're really excited about this. How's the casual fan in Texas, bringing this, thinking about this game? Do you expect to see a large contingent of fans that are Longhorn fans travel from Austin to Orlando? Because it seems like if you're just a football fan of either one of these programs, to see these two teams, these two helmets, these two logos match up would be pretty intriguing.
Yeah, and I think because they have such a huge alumni base all over the country, that they've probably got a lot of alumni in Florida. And then there's a certain group that's going to travel. They've had these plans known for a month, so you can plan around it and come to Orlando and do all the things you can do in Florida over the holidays. I think for the casual fan, they'll turn it on tomorrow, and they probably won't think about it very much after it. If they get a 10th win, yes, that'll be cool. It'll be the 3rd straight, so that hasn't happened since 2009. But again, I go back to, it's more important, I think, stay healthy. It will be some value in some guys playing, but I don't really subscribe to that. The bowl game is a launching point into the next season, more so now than ever because of the roster turnover.
Right.
I mean, Sark and his staff, Brandon Harris, their general manager, and he's walking around the hotel with a phone glued to his head because, they're doing all the wheelings and dealings before the portal opens. So I don't subscribe to the whole, this can launch you. It could launch players. Especially, defensive guys with Will Muschamp.
For sure.
Who gets to watch them. But I think Texas is going to be a top 10 team regardless of what happens tomorrow next season, primarily because Arch Manning is back and they'll have a lot around him. And they'll find some guys in the portal. Will they get a home run hitter at running back is the big question, of course. All eyes on Jaden Ball at Florida. The kid out of Jacksonville State, Cam Cook, who led FBS, he's from Austin. He's from Round Rock, outside of Austin. Started at TCU. Does that translate, what he did at Jacksonville State to the SEC? We don't know about that, but they're going to go for some home runs. They'll get some because it's a money game, right? And they're going to have some money freed up. So I think tomorrow's going to be interesting for about 3.5 hours. And then I think most realistic, how about that? Realistic Longhorn fan that maybe doesn't go to the fanatic part of fan will wash it away and say, okay, let's see what you do in the portal. Probably not going to do much more on the February signing day. And then what does this roster look like moving forward compared to other rosters? Who's going to stay on that quarterback merry-go-round? Longhorns have been fortunate, maybe that's been fortunate. They haven't had to get the one and done. I mean, you look at an Indiana, and obviously it's worked out well to get the one and done. And they're going to be back on that again. I don't think they're going to stick with Alberto Mendoza because they can attract top players.
Anybody right now.
I think tomorrow I won't call it an exhibition. I know that's irritated Sark, but if they win, I don't know if fans will think a whole lot different unless somebody really emerges, like maybe one of the freshman receivers that haven't played much. If they shine a little bit, but for the most part, I think it's a game. And then no matter what, people are going to be worried about what happens in the portal way more than what happens in the ball game.
No question. That was excellent insight, not only on this game, but what this means for this team as they move forward. Looking forward to 2026. We'll also catch up with you next time on the hardwood as both Texas men's and women's basketball teams get into the heart of SEC play. Roger, number one, thank you for your time. And number two, safe travels as you go from Orlando back to Austin.
And number three, stay warm in Florida.
Isn't that it's brutal, isn't it?
It's brutal.
Exactly.
Love to complain about stuff like that. Thanks, guys.
I know it. You're the best. Thank you, man.